on Sean's birthday one day, he showed up to Kung Fu Necktie on an emo night. And Sean, just not being aware of, I guess, how the world works.
It was my birthday.
As he walks in the club, and we're like, hey, Sean, let's get him some drinks. He finds the first person that he sees. The person didn't see Sean. And Sean infamously called Mosh Pit, where he just said, Mosh Pit.
If you call
and just deck the person because he thinks this is the behavior that we do when we go out.
If you call
and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, no, it's cool. I called Mosh Pit.
I called it. That's what the kids do.
YUNKJunk!
What's up, Philadelphia? Welcome to another episode of the Supper Club Sessions podcast with myself, Lou Novak, my co-host, Sean Thump McGranahan. We are having a rocking out edition of today's episode. I say that because coincidentally and unscripted, we're both wearing our band gear today. I'm supporting the Philly favorite Wonder Years, and Sean's rocking out to Iron Maiden.
It's a band?
I hate you. I hate you.
I thought it was like a torture thing or a sexual thing. It's like there's a band called Iron Maiden.
Talking to you is a torture thing. It's not a sexual thing, but it's definitely a torture thing sometimes.
I'm very familiar with Iron Maiden and Eddie, who is the skull representation that they have. My brother, shout out Chris McGranahan, very much so a fan of Iron Maiden. Him and my neighbor Pat DeLeese growing up, they would rock out. And Iron Maiden was definitely Bruce Dickinson, I think, was the lead singer for Iron Maiden. I think, or no, that might have been Judas Priest, one of those bands. But yeah, I can't tell you one song.
Oh,
but
you're that guy.
But I'm the guy who.
Oh, you're an Iron Maiden fan.
I'm the
Name
guy
3
who was
songs.
Walking down Main Street and saw some shirts, and I said, I need that shirt. And I'm not going to name the store. Okay. It's a secondhand store that just opened up here on Main Street. But let me ask you a question. If you go into a retail establishment, okay,
yeah,
and you're obviously piqued your curiosity to sit there and say, like, what's going on,
right?
So I go in this shop and I'm like, oh, cool. They got some cool shirts. Picked out a couple of cool shirts. Started looking around and I mean, they had like really cool stuff. Like they had an original PS1. They had like, but it was mainly like shirts and clothes and stuff like that. But then they had these other like toys and stuff like that around. Okay.
What kind of toys?
So specifically, funny you might ask that. Specifically, there was a George W. Bush action figure from when he declared victory in Iraq. Which I think was like, I think he declared victory like 5 years before we actually got out of Iraq. In fact, we're still in Iraq, but where he proclaimed victory because it was pretty cool. Like he flew in on an F-16 and he's got the fighter outfit.
Yeah.
So I see that and I'm like, I'm not a fan of George W. Bush and I disagree with a lot of stuff he did, but
you vote for him?
No, I didn't.
Really?
But it would be cool to have up on the shelf, right?
Sure.
Put it right next to George the Animal Steel. George the Animal Steel can
George and George.
Exactly. And so I was prepared. How much?
Yeah, it's probably going to go expensive.
Sorry, it's not for sale. What do you mean? It's on the shelf. Yeah, no, I can't sell that. But I have cash.
But you're a place of business and I'm a consumer, right?
There's almost like this unspoken, at least I thought, arrangement where when you have a store with stuff for sale, the stuff that's in the store is for sale. There's no point in having something in the store. Now, I get it. I'm not talking about fixtures. I'm not talking about like,
the shelf that it's on.
I'm talking about like...
How much is the cash register you're using
on
now?
The shelf.
Right.
Not for sale. So I'm a little tainted at that point, and I'm like, oh, okay. Just ruined my day. But I guess I get this fucking Iron Maiden shirt.
Not buying a George Bush action figure ruined your day. That's how trigger.
Like someone pissed in my Cheerios. So then, as I'm on my way out, I look over and I see a Hannah Montana guitar, acoustic guitar.
And if I can't have the George Bush action figure, I'm
leaving with the guitar. I'm leaving with the guitar. I mean,
you play guitar?
I don't. But I have a lot of friends who like Hannah Montana. So I mean,
sure.
And I thought, again, something cool for the shelf.
Shouldn't you at this point say that you have friends that like Miley Cyrus and not actually specifically Hannah Montana?
I said what I said. And so how much is a guitar? Not for sale.
Stop. Stop.
Mind blown.
Stop.
Like you're on Main Street in Manayunk to open a store to sell stuff. But 2 out of the 3 things I asked for were not for sale, but were there.
It's like when you go to a bar and you see like, Jameson on the shelf and you say, let me get a shot of Jameson. And the bartender says,
Proper
we don't
12.
sell Jameson here.
Yeah, sorry.
Like, no, you do. It's right there. Like, yeah, we don't sell that though. It's
Proper
just for
12
show.
place. That's just for show. We actually push the cheap stuff.
That's weird.
Listen,
That's
just
weird.
a little bit of frustration that, and I still got the shirt because I already paid for it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to return a secondhand shirt.
Exactly.
Right.
Like that becomes like third hand at that point.
Yeah.
But I just thought to myself, like
if it's in your store and it's a store,
here's the thing.
It should be for sale.
It leads me to a bigger discussion of, there's moments in time, okay, where we think to ourselves, like, I'm going to go and do this, or I'm going to go here and experience this, or whether it be a bar, a restaurant, a retail store, or something like that. It only takes one little thing for me to make a decision. I'm never going to go back there again. I'm never going to go back there and say, here's my money for a product or service ever again. And it just made me think about like how often that happens in restaurants and bars, where again, somebody goes in with an expectation and whatever happens, whatever might happen, let's just say you decide to go out for, I don't know, Mother's Day brunch with your family.
Right.
And you had an expectation of how it was going to be. And somehow it didn't lead up to that expectation. And then all of a sudden you walk out of there and you say, you know what? I'm never going back there again.
Because
of XYZ.
Right.
And then sometimes that's followed up with like a review. Like I could very easily go on Google and leave a review being like, half the stuff in the place wasn't even for sale, blah, 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 whatever, something like that. No, I make my decisions with my pocket and I sit there and say,
air them out on my podcast.
Well, I didn't say the name.
Right.
I didn't say a name because they were nice guys. It's just, and they were only open for 2 days. So nothing, again, you just open up a spot. You're open for 2 days. You almost sit there and think that like, hey, we want to make money, right? We did this for a reason, right? Or
tax shell. Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously a fraud. It's obviously a fraud.
How do we hide all of our drug money? Let's just open up a cash-only secondhand store and not sell anything.
And by the way,
we sold so much shit. I'm going to claim all of this.
Fat Irish guy's coming back. Break out the Miley Cyrus stuff. Sorry, it's not for sale.
You mean Hannah Montana stuff?
Her too.
Yeah.
Hannah Montana, I think, was a groundbreaking show.
This conversation. Okay.
I think it showed what the real life of a star can be.
The real
like.
life. It was just like that, right?
It was. I imagine so.
We go on, go to a show,
nobody could tell.
School.
It's
like just like that,
like the Superman thing. Like you couldn't tell it was Superman because of fucking glasses. Like literally, like the glasses hit it.
Everyone says that until you see Zooey Deschanel with and without bangs, and you don't know who the fuck she is. Like completely looks like a different person.
That's actually a valid point.
Yeah. Without bangs, literally looks like who's that actress?
So now's the point in the conversation where we change the subject because I don't want to agree with you on anything today. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. We could fight all day. I'm tired and full of piss and vinegar.
Your choices in life sometimes,
like our friendship. Obviously bad decisions.
First decision.
Yeah,
okay.
Already bad.
Your choices in life sometimes are disparaging to me. Okay. And I feel like you could be better.
I try not to be.
Exactly.
My whole goal is always to lean into what people's perception of me is.
And let the bar just stay low.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because like I'm comfortable with me. Right. And then
I don't even think you're comfortable with you.
Oh, dude, I'm so fucking comfortable with me.
Are you?
Yeah, way comfortable with me. And the second someone's like, oh, well, you're this, I'm like, I'm only going to be that now. Like, around you, like, I'm going to be so fucking that.
Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I get it either at work or social settings. And a lot of time it's levity, it's jokes. It's like, oh, like, how come I didn't get this section? Is it because you don't like me? I'm like, it's exactly because I don't like you personally as an employee. I don't like you as a friend. I don't like you at all. And I lead into it as much as I possibly.
It's the same thing like when we're dealing with guests.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you didn't serve me that because you don't like me. Yeah, we made that choice.
Exactly.
Did you hear us calling that out in the kitchen? Table 14's a bunch of jerk offs, spit on the food.
Yeah.
Like people actually think that that's the kind of stuff that happens in restaurants. I can guarantee you, in 25 years in the business, not once have I ever allowed or permitted
I've never seen
somebody to sit there and like make a decision about like a table because of who they are or what they did or what they say. In fact, we go,
I'll tell you, because I was actually going to, as we usually do our like educating bar 101, one thing I will see, and I have seen, and maybe still continue to see, is service definitely dictated by someone's initial experience with the bartender. Like, hey, hey guys, I'm Lou. I'm going to be a bartender. It's like, 1 minute. Hey, I need a minute. It's like, you're going to get 10 minutes. Like, you're not getting a minute. Like, I'm going to see you in a half. I might be closing with you tonight before you get a fucking drink now. Like, so I've seen that's definitely a fucking thing. I've never seen anyone's food tampered with. I've never seen anyone say, put that check to the back of the line or anything like that. No. But if your first reaction or your first interaction at the bar is being shitty, like, oh, you're in timeout. Like,
you're in timeout. You go to the corner, please.
Yeah, you're in the box, dude. It's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes in the box.
You know what the funny is? So we just had a holiday, Mother's Day, and it's Mother's Day. People celebrate it, and people have a wonderful day, and it's all about the mothers and
unless you work in the industry,
potential mothers who might have had a chance at some point. I don't know how many of mine are out there, but
hopefully
you never know.
God,
but none. I just feel like, when you come to those special days, the holidays and stuff like that, people have this expectation in their head when they go out that sometimes is unrealistic. They think that it's supposed to be like it is at their house. And not for nothing, one of the reasons why you go out for a meal or a celebration or something like that is so that it doesn't have to be at your house. It doesn't have to be that like somebody's doing the dishes. Nobody has to worry
someone
about
else
clean.
prepare it for me. Take care of all the.
But when people,
the mess afterwards.
I feel like there's a lot of people out there that on those special days, they don't get it, and maybe they should be staying home on those special days. And I'm not trying to turn any business from anybody, but like, if you think that like all of a sudden because something is special to you, that it's going to meet only your expectations and not what the prescribed expectations are for where you're at and what the staff is or whatever, I just think it's unrealistic, and just stay home. I remember during the pandemic, we were at a place and where I was at, and we had just managers working, no staff like that. And I'll never forget Mother's Day in 2020, right after everything got shut down and we were allowed to reopen, and it was takeout only. Yeah. And I think I might even told the story on here before, but like literally like 2-hour wait for food because it was just like inundated with people. I mean, and people are standing there like, I ordered my food 15 minutes ago. Yeah. Where's it at? And I'm like, probably coming off the back of the truck right now. Yeah. We're preparing it. Like, and
you can have it now raw.
There was plenty of people who were like understanding, and they get it and they understood. And then there was the other ones again.
Most people understanding, not to interrupt, but most people understanding. I think when we come on and we vent and bitch and try to educate, we're just trying to educate the few people that don't get it, just to bring them up so like maybe more people will get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, you have to have measured expectations of what you're supposed to be getting. And if I go to a place and number one, the place is busy, I'm going to expect it to maybe take a little bit longer because I want it to be prepared right. And maybe they're busy for a reason. But this unrealistic, expectation of like, wait a minute. I've been sitting here for 35 seconds and I haven't had bread delivered to my table yet. And it's like, okay, because the server's like literally slicing it right now because you want it fresh, right? And right. Like, we're going to give that to you, but why don't you
give them the whole loaf? Fuck it.
Yeah, right.
I've on the flip side of that, same thing, holiday, and I won't really drop like where I was, but I've worked plenty of Mother's Days, and one thing that I see routinely is just bad children that don't make reservations for their mom on Mother's Day, known as one of the busiest Sundays of the year in the bar restaurant industry. So you go to an establishment that takes reservations, and it's like, hey, there's two of us, can we sit now? We're like, absolutely not. I have a huge guest list of reservations that are booked. I have people that walk in.
But there's a table right over there.
Yeah, and it's not yours, right? And here's the thing.
I see it.
In 5 minutes, it's not going to be yours, right? So you give them a quote time. We're like, hey, man, it might be 45 minutes before I get you. I have a bunch of other twos in front of you, and I have reservations. And then you get like a 4-top walk-in, right?
That's on the list.
And they get sat. And it's like, whoa, you just sat them. I'm like, yeah, like they did their job. Like they did their part of what this is going to be, and they made reservations ahead of time, and they're going to get sat in front of you. And people just don't understand. Like, when you go out to eat, when you go out to have this experience, we want to show you a good time, but part of that starts with you. If you're not preparing for an eventful type of like themed day, a holiday, something like Mother's Day, dude, you're going to be behind the eight ball. You're going to be on the wait list, and it might not meet your expectation, but your expectations should be based more in reality.
You said 45 minutes and it's been 36 and I haven't even been talked to yet.
Yeah.
It's because
see you in 9 minutes.
Still ahead of the game, right?
Maybe.
I don't know. Like I think it's such an ever-changing landscape that the bar and restaurant business is in, especially these days, and all this talk about like automating and people, now the situations happen where people can just go on an app and they put their name on the reservation and it's so like it's not natural anymore. There's no really flow to it. It's almost like I have this measured expectation, and as an operator, we're almost making it easier for them to make a reservation, to order food, all that kind of stuff. But in attempts to make it easier, we're enabling bad behavior, I think. Wow. Because I think all of a sudden, because you don't have that one-on-one interaction, like let's just say with the reservation, used to be you had to call a place off for a reservation,
sure.
Which is fine, nothing wrong with that. But you had that one-on-one interaction, and instead of it being notes that might be left on, a reservation app, and wait, you didn't see that note?
Right.
We said there was going to be 12 plus 3 children, so 15.
Right. But so 9 adults and 3 children to make 12.
It's just it's that kind of stuff.
That one too. I think I went into that a few weeks ago.
We and we're sounding so negative right now, and I'm not a negative person. I'm trying to 86 negativity in my life. That's a new step in my life. I
embrace it. I embrace it.
That's the emo child in you, because it's like, oh, look at me. Woe is me. Look at my eye makeup. I mean, no. Yeah, not that. No, it's like, listen, you put on a professional face at work, and we always, I try not to let that break. But yeah, there's times where I'm going to sit here with you and be like, dude, don't customers fucking suck sometimes? That's, guess what? That's one of the reasons why we started this.
Yeah, no shit. I'll tell you, since we're kind of on the topic of trying to, just educate the masses, as we always like to talk about. One of the things that, and this kind of goes hand in hand, one of the things I did want to talk about today is knowing the environment of the bar you're at and acting accordingly to the environment. Like, what do they say when you're playing golf? Play the course you're on, right? Sometimes you can't always just, and I don't know shit about golf, but sometimes you can't always use like the big heavy club at all times, right? Like if you're on the green, you're not using your driver, right? You're using the putter or something like that. Right?
We're still talking about golf, right?
Yeah, I think we're still talking about golf, right?
All right, my mind went off.
Going out to bars and restaurants, it's the same thing, right? Like, if you're leaving like a club style scene, right? And like, you're turning up, but then you go to get like some after dinner drinks at a spot that like, maybe like specializes in like, cocktails in a quaint setting. Like, you shouldn't be coming in like, guns blazing. You shouldn't be coming in like,
like Vince Vaughn and Swingers.
Yeah, exactly. You got to know the environment you're in. If I'm leaving, like a dingy little punk rock club, and then I'm going to, if I'm leaving L Bar and then I'm going to Mahurans afterwards, I'm not bringing the L Bar vibe till Mahurans.
And vice versa. You're not sitting in Mulherrins.
If I'm leaving Mulherrins after eating a spicy John and drinking some La Bambas, I'm not going to El Bar, thinking like, I'm going to have a nice little quaint, interaction with the bar staff and ask about their cocktails. No, I'm going to be like, can I get some PBRs and cocaine?
Do you serve the espresso beans with the espresso teeny?
Yeah, no.
Oh, no, you don't?
No.
Oh,
Let me get a
El Bar.
Tecate and a pack of Dipsy Doodles, and we're getting fucked up tonight, right?
Where's the bar rail at? Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So know the environment you're in, act accordingly to the environment you're in. Every environment isn't the same, Also, when you're at a bar, understand that you're at a bar and not at your house, and this goes in hand with like your expectations, but like there's going to be things that maybe at your house you can drink that maybe at a bar you can't. I tell you right now, I don't know many bars that carry Mountain Dew. If you come to a bar and you're like, let me get a vodka Mountain Dew, and the bartender doesn't have it, that's not indicative of like the bartender being a bad bartender. It's not indicative of the establishment like, oh, this place sucks. That's you're asking for things that are just not reasonably kept at bars.
Especially if you're saying that in front of a wall of liquor.
Right.
And a cooler full of all different beers and draft beer system. And they didn't have the thing that I drink on my back porch.
I can't get a Malibu and Baja Blast. It's
Right.
fucking ridiculous,
Bullshit.
dude. Yeah, this place sucks.
I bet they don't even have any Taco Bell here either.
Wait till I Yelp this.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
another thing I'll just let the masses know as like a restaurant like operator myself. Like I don't fucking read Yelp. I don't read it as a guest. It doesn't dictate where I'm going. I don't study up on Yelp reviews first. And I sure as shit do not lose fucking sleep over a Yelp review. If someone said, I was at fucking this guy's place and they didn't have fucking Mountain Dew on fucking tap, place is 0 stars out of fucking 5 stars. So fuck Yelp. It's one of the worst things that's ever happened to the bar restaurant industry. It's keyboard fucking warriors. It's people that don't get punched in the face enough. Complaining.
And never got into a fight when they were a kid.
Right.
Never
people
got
that
told
never
no.
feel there's ever repercussions for their actions are people that use Yelp.
Bitches.
Bitches.
I wholeheartedly agree. If I ever went to a Yelp review to see where are you going to go tonight? I don't know. Let me look on Yelp and see the reviews.
The next shirt I might get made for ourselves might say 0 stars on Yelp.
Like that.
And I might fucking wear that like a badge of honor.
With like a bad review on it. And
Yeah,
be like,
didn't have Mountain Dew.
Thumbs up.
I couldn't get a whiskey and Dr. Pepper.
Yeah,
Place is ridiculous.
Like, and obviously we deal with this stuff all the time. People think that their opinion somehow counts. Like, I love feedback.
Yeah.
Love feedback.
Constructive feedback.
Love feedback. Give me a call. Let me know. My cell phone number is on my business card. It's been on there for 25 years, wherever I worked at. My email is pretty easy to figure out. Let me know if you're really interested. Like if you're doing it because like people say like I just don't want it to happen to the next person. Like if you're really interested in like actually like giving constructive criticism, give constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Putting a review online about your personal experience.
It's attention for yourself. It's not doing business.
All the food was salty. Was it? Because there was no other complaints about food being salty that day. Like literally not one.
Not one. Right.
But maybe your interpretation, maybe your palate sucks. Listen, I said it before, I'll say it again. I love the industry we're in. I love the business. I love getting up every morning knowing that I'm going to go in and have an impact on somebody's life. And I know that's really going like grandiose with it, but it's really true because on any given day, I could sit there and have a conversation with an employee who maybe thought that, they don't want to work at the place anymore. And I'm talking them back off the ledge, not lying to them, but I'm giving them an ear and letting them know that, hey, your concerns are real and I'm going to take care of them. Or, go in and talk to a guest who maybe the guest lost their parents, in a car crash before and they're just looking for solace. Again, reaching out to them and being happy and nice to them and hospitality. But anybody who's going out with an explicit reason to say, I'm going to judge this place.
Right. And that's why
and my opinion is going to affect how this place does. My opinion is going to affect the 55 people who work there. Yeah. I don't think they should be operating in that capacity. Guess what?
I'm going to match that energy all day.
Buy your own fucking restaurant. All right. Put your own self on the line and say, how am I going to cover labor to speak? How am I going to cover my costs to speak? How am I going to sit there and put smiles on people's faces? You're not being constructive with any criticism if you're sitting there just putting out a review with 1 star and not even like giving feedback on it.
Right.
Or giving 1 star saying it was like the worst day of your life. Because we can impact people's lives. But if the worst thing that happened to you on any given day was,
my fries were salty, you're probably living a better life than most people, but you're just too miserable to fucking say it.
Stay home.
So stay home. Let's flip the script a little bit, right? Like, and I know we don't usually practice these things beforehand, but let's talk about some positivity. I
need positivity in my life right now.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you're positive on a couple things, right? Or did those tests come back? Or
Negative.
Oh, dude. So that's the most positive thing I've heard about you is that the test was negative. Congrats.
I can keep on pumping.
It was just a rash, ladies. It's nothing too contagious that can't be cleared up. I love that for you. Let's talk about some positive things. Let's talk about, since we're both rocking some band shirts, what was your best concert experience? Do you have one?
See, I'm not a huge concert guy.
I get that. Okay. I understand. But there had to be some that you're like, well, that was the best, right?
Partially deaf and like
what?
Exactly. Thank you. I appreciate that. Deaf in my left ear. Thank you. I'm not a concert guy. Some cool concerts I was at in the past. I remember I was at Pearl Jam's last show at Spectrum.
Okay.
That was fucking amazing.
I was the one before that. You closed it out. Yeah. The Halloween one?
I forget the date, but it was I know it was October something. Yeah. And I had friends in from Pittsburgh. Shout out some of my Pittsburgh people out there. But we had a fun night. Oh, it was a good night. That was a good show.
First of all, I mean, I know it was like, those big stadiums, and it's not my scene stadiums, but Spectrum was a cool fucking spot, man.
Absolutely.
There's something like
some magic to it.
It was a very Philly spot.
Yeah. There was a Billy Joel concert I went to with my best friend Colleen.
Nice.
We both love Billy Joel, and our moms loved Billy Joel.
He's still doing it too, man.
I would pay for a Billy Joel concert any day of the week. Same thing. Nothing. I remember back in like the 90s, I went to one of those face-to-face tours with Billy Joel and Elton John.
Okay.
Phenomenal show. Elton John, I mean, they're different. They're way different. And It was awesome because it was like, Billy Joel would sit there and play his songs, and then and he was like, talking to the crowd and like working and stuff like that. Elton John literally would play a song, and then he'd get up and stand up and like be like,
give me my applause.
Take a bow. Thank you. And then you go back and play the next song.
Blue collar.
Billy Joel actually made fun of him. Billy Joel came out and was like, I'm not going to get my ass up and do a bow or anything like that, but if anybody wants a drink, throw it back. Like,
love that.
It was awesome. Then they came out and played together, and it's like I love piano music. I anything with pianos, and it's always going to be good for me. But like, I remember one time I saw House of Pain at the Tower Theater.
Nice.
Back would jump around was a thing, and it was awesome, so I've been to some good shows, but like I've never embraced being concert guy.
I'm a concert guy.
There's concert guy, there's sporting event guy, and they're two different guys. And I'll be honest with you, I'm really not either of them. Okay, and part of it's because I'm the idiot who always is working while everybody else is out enjoying their lives.
I feel that sometimes.
But like when we've gone to shows and stuff like that, I take your lead on how things are supposed to be because you are concert guy.
I'm concert guy.
You know how things are supposed to be.
And listen, I've been to lots of shows. I've had lots of cool experiences in different size venues. Right, like I was the day before the last Pearl Jam show. Right?
Top 3 shows you ever saw.
I could give you a top 3, but I don't know if it's going to be in order. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be in order. So the one that was the most unassuming one, it was like in 2019. Me and a bunch of friends of ours, we went over to the Starland Ballroom up in Sayersville, New Jersey. Which, like, if you're in the punk rock scene, it's just like this sort of like a Fillmore-esque spot across from a VFW hall that, like, outside of punk rock shows, maybe there's 6 people in the VFW hall. And then anytime there's a punk show, there's fucking 200 people in a VFW hall, and all they have is like Bud on draft. And like, we treat them so fucking well because like the cultures just don't line up. And like, but when we're in there, like everyone has a sense of community. Like, nope, this place is fucking awesome. We're going to enjoy whatever you have. And like everyone, like they love us. We love them. It's fucking awesome. It's surrounded by cornfields and nothing else. And I went to go see Simple Plan. And I think We the Kings and State Champs were the openers. And like, there wasn't a lot of expectation outside of like Simple Plan because they had more hits in like, the early 2000s, right?
Of course, yeah.
And
I
like,
know exactly what
and you don't know any of these bands, right? But like, I'm just saying, like, from opening fucking song to closing fucking song, the vibe was just fucking right. And like, I probably couldn't tell you 3 fucking songs from We the Kings or State Champs outside of their singles, right? But the energy was just, like, it was me, it was our friend Sam, it was, I think Delaney was there, like, it was just a bunch of us, and it was like, dude, like, this is just fucking right. Like, it was just, the energy was fucking great. So experience 1 would be that specific show, even though they weren't like a top build type of tour. Or
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Just to interject that. I know you're in your top 3, but just that energy thing, something else popped in my mind. Way back when I was in college, a friend of mine was a really big Jimmy Buffett fan. Shout out Joe Brown.
Okay.
And I used to hang out with him and his boys, and they were like, you got to go to Buffett. I had no clue at the time what a Jimmy Buffett was. I had no clue about the concept, the pirate mentality, songs you know by heart. And I was like, sure. We met down at Joe's house. We were playing beer pong. We hopped on like a school bus. We went down there. The vibe for that, for me, set the tone for like the next 10 years of actually being like a Buffett fan. I went to like 3 other Buffett concerts because I went there not knowing any songs except for Margaritaville. Okay.
Right, which is the only song I know.
It's the only song I knew when I went there. But as I'm there, and remind you that we were all like 20 years old, surrounded by people who were like 40s and 50s, and people our age too, but like Everybody knew the songs. Everybody was happy. There was nobody like, bro, can you sit down? Like, or tell anybody come. Like, it was everybody just so chill. Everybody having a good time. Let's drink it up. Let's party beforehand. Like, we're gonna party afterwards.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that initial Jimmy Buffett experience.
That's what similar to that. Like, that's I don't know where you classify Jimmy Buffett, but like I know he tours with a lot of country people now. But like a Kenny Chesney show or a Zach Brown show.
R.I.P. Jimmy Buffett died.
Oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know that he was like adjacent to those guys.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think
I know he's dead. Again,
he was kind of the originator.
Yeah, that's sort of like,
what's his name?
You go to a Kenny show or you go to like a Zach
Chesney.
Brown show,
Yeah.
and like I'll tell you what, like last time I was at a Zach Brown show, again, it's just that whole party atmosphere, and like that guy was playing a bunch of fucking cover songs just because the vibe was right.
Mm-hmm.
Like his encore was Sabotage from the Beastie Boys.
Oh, wow.
And a B-side from a Sublime album called Caress Me Down, which is about getting a hand job. And like, yeah.
Caress Me Down.
And Zach Brown's playing them. I'm like, this doesn't make any fucking sense at all for a country show. But again, the whole vibe is just, we're just partying, everyone's fucking high or drunk, and it's a cool fucking time.
So it's funny too, because like, I feel like, obviously in the past, 10, 15 years, whatever it's been, like growing up in Northeast Philadelphia, if you said I listened to country music, I was like, you what?
Yeah.
Because everybody thought country music at the time was like Oak Ridge Boys and like Alabama and that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, like there was that crossover that happened. It really started with like Garth Brooks, and then it kind of like
country pop and stuff like that. And now you got like,
and now you get stuff
Posty's fucking killing it. Posty and Beyonce are both doing like nothing but country now.
Well, Morgan Wallen was in town over the weekend.
Just sold out CBP, right?
And I tell you what, like this is gonna sound a little creepy.
Oh, again? We're talking about Hannah Montana again?
And Pat, put it on pause right now and just skip forward. Like seeing the pictures of people at these Morgan Wallen and Luke Combs and all these different concerts. I mean, boots, short shorts, tiny tops.
I'm sure the girls look good too,
cowboy
right?
hat. Exactly. Like dudes are looking good. But like, no, I mean, it's
save a horse, ride a cowboy.
Yeah. Listen, ain't no shame in my game. But like, I know. Listen, I've got a great game.
Nice. I love the reflection of the body. You finger gun in the mirror. You got game.
But yeah, there's that whole country scene is just it's fun to watch. I've never been to one. Like, people are like, oh, Kenny Chesney's coming to town. Like, we had friends who used to get like the whole box, and like it'd be like, who wants Kenny Chesney tickets? and like people might have been doing favors for them. I don't know, but like,
what kind of favors?
Well, if I told you the people who were involved, you would know exactly the kind of favors.
No names. Names.
So don't ask, don't tell. But yeah, I interrupted you. I asked for your top 3 concert experiences. You gave us one.
All right. Well, so I went with Simple Plan, right? And those guys. I'll tell you another great one. It wasn't in Philly. It was up in Boston. I saw Dropkick there. Me and Steph went up for a St. Patty's Day weekend. Saw them at House of Blues, right? Well, I mean, just like, first of all, it was like my 21st time seeing Dropkick Murphys, because I've been listening to them since fucking like 97 or 98 or some some shit like that.
That was when you had frosted tips.
I did, yeah. I had different color hair like almost fucking monthly back in the 90s, 2000s. I was blue, red, blonde, platinum, purple. Yeah, I was fucking...
And now you're just holding on to it for dear life.
Just like my sanity.
Allowed to say that.
Yeah, just like my sanity. And I mean, listen, the show's fucking awesome. That's all cool. But the experience part of it is like afterwards, Ken Casey gets on the mic and he's like, hey, we're all going to McGreevy's afterwards. First round's on me. Right?
Like at the show.
At the show, right? Like, hey, we're all going to McGreevy's. First round's on me. And everyone's like, yeah. So like, I'm a visitor in Boston. I'm not fucking from there. And, afterwards, everyone's like leaving, everyone's fucking smoking cigarettes and fucking still singing like "Let's Go Murphy's Chance" and shit like that. And there's like a fucking parade of people, and like, I'm just fucking going with the flow. And everyone's like, yeah, we're going to McGree's. I'm like, fuck it, yeah, whatever, right? So we get there and it's like a fucking like just like a mob scene to fucking get in, and like, bouncers are checking IDs and shit like that. So as we're getting in, ID, he's like, if you're going for Ken's round, just go to the bar. And I'm just like, me like being in the industry, like I can't help sometimes, but I want to like expose the magic a little bit. So I just asked the bouncer, I'm like, is this a promo with like their booking company and the bar? He's like, nah, he does this once a year. He just puts a credit card on file and literally just buys a round. I'm like, wait, Wait, what? No, like legitimately. So he just fucking like literally calls the bar. He's like, hey, it's Ken. You know, we're wrapping up the tour, St. Patty's Day. Here's my card. I got a round for anyone coming from the fucking show. So like the fact that it's not like something where like, Universal Music Company or paid for it. It's like Ken Casey from Dropkick Murphys is like, nah, I just bought a round for all these fucking
There's some like
knuckleheads.
roadie over there being like, no, I have to check wristbands and you have to click on this link and then
No, it's none of that. It's like we're drinking Miller Lights with Ken Casey, so or Guinnesses, like so that's too. Again, like not so much. It was definitely the concert itself was cool, but that experience, that extra fucking step that he did, like that's just such a cool fucking thing. And 3 for me, not the show.
Gaslight Anthem.
Dude, it's tough to actually pick between Gaslight and Brian Phelan, even though they're the same fucking singer songwriter and lead singer. But every time I've gone seen and I'm going to see either Gaslight Anthem or Brian Phelan, he somehow and I don't know him. We've never met. Like I've talked we've met Dave and Tim Howes from Sing Us Home and stuff like that. I've never actually had an interaction with Brian Phelan. Every single show I've gone to where my kids have come, somehow he's pointed my kids out in the crowd and we've had a conversation.
One of my favorite videos is the one with you had Casey when she was like 4 or 5. Yeah. And she's like on your shoulders, like just rocking out, singing the song back. And he called her out.
Yeah. And so literally like he's going into this fucking thing. The Eagles just win the Super Bowl and he's going to get in this, he's about to start talking shit on Tom Brady, which, hey, I fucking love it. He's a Jersey guy. So I'm sure Jets, Patriots, there's no fucking love there. And the Eagles just won it. And he's like, hold on, wait. He's like, before I go any further, he's like, darling, you're a sight for sore eyes. You're on your dad's shoulders in the pit. And then Casey gets up and she's like, you're my favorite singer. And then Brian's like, your parents seem to get you into better music. Right? And like, they just start going back and forth and talking. And like, that's one instance. And then Emily's first concert was, it was Gaslight, Jimmy Eat World, and Against Me. And again, I'm the guy who has like they're at time like 6-year-old on my shoulder in a fucking pit because hey, you can break him in early. Mm-hmm. And like literally, he's like, hold on, stop the show. And this is when it was Gaslight. And he's like, everyone spread out. And he's like, that's the future of rock and roll right there. And I'm just like, dude, like I don't fucking know this guy for shit. And 2 different times he like highlights both my kids. So like that's absolutely a highlight from me.
I think it's a highlight and it's indicative of you doing such a great job raising your kids. And I'm not being facetious with that because I think we're not going to get into personal stuff, but I think your kids have a very well balanced real world type of mentality with stuff.
I tell everyone Emily's going to Holy Family next year, almost on a complete full ride. Steph absolutely did everything she could to nurture them and educate them, and I culture them. Yeah. So they get the kind of best of both worlds.
It's pretty obvious
with that. Yeah. So as far as best concert experiences, that and then something that I want to get into as well as we were doing the Philly draft last year, or last week, I'm sorry. I was trying to think outside of Philly, what are some of the best places to go like when you're traveling? And I wanted to ask you because I have my 1 or 1A, but best outside of Philly experience in the food / bar industry.
So, I mean, there's a few out there. I'm going to highlight one that I think really stands out to me and I think stands out to a lot of people in the Philadelphia area, but going down to Clearwater.
Yeah.
Going down to Clearwater for a Phillies game and that whole experience and Frenchies afterwards and then walking in and taking over bars, as a Philly person. It's really a cool thing. I mean, we as a city, we've talked about this before. We're known for our town takeovers.
What did we say last week? We don't go to take part, we go to take over.
Yeah, and I think that whole experience for me it's always just so memorable for me. I mean, there's other ones that stand out. I mean, I being in New Orleans for an Eagles game. I mean, when Eagles fans take over Bourbon Street, I think that's it's such a great mentality. In fact, we talk about a lot of different places and what's your favorite place? That's favorite place. One of my favorite bars on the planet is the Carousel Bar at Hotel Montpelier. I think it's Montpelier, down in New Orleans.
Okay.
So the Carousel Bar, it is a carousel. So the whole bar seats about probably 50 people around, has an inner part. The entire bar rotates. And
Ugh.
the middle stays. So the bartender is like in his station, it's like that. But the bar itself just rotates around. And anytime I've been to New Orleans, I mean, and it's in a hotel. It's not like it's right off Bourbon Street, but it's not like a Bourbon Street bar like, Patty O'Brien's or
it's not the gimmicky.
It's not like it's in a nice hotel. Okay. But it's one of the funnest bars ever. And we would go down there and like, there'd be like 40 of us and we'd be all around the thing. And I'm sure we didn't invent it, but there was a game we were playing where you took a little golf ball, wing it all the way around the bar, and whoever it stops on,
shots,
flash.
Oh, and not shots.
And I'll never forget. There was this redhead, and she was with this guy who I think might have been her pimp. And it got to the point where people were legitimately just stopping the ball in front of her because she had no problems showing everybody her very well paid for assets.
I would have thought it would have been a lot funnier if they stopped in front of the pimp.
I mean, I think even when it did, he was kind of like
staring a little bit. Right?
But even outside like the flashing and stuff like that, it was such a fun mentality, and like because the bar is constantly moving and it's very slow. I'm just
picturing me after like 7 shots at a fucking kilo where like the bar is moving even when it's not in my world. Yeah. Oh, I would have I'd be struggling, man.
But it creates a fun atmosphere, and because you're in New Orleans, everybody wants to have fun in New Orleans.
Sure.
Or as us professionals call it, Nolans. Another thing I hate when people try to sit there and think like they know how the people in that area.
Look at my southern drawl that I can just put
on.
No.
They call
what y'all boys doing down here in New Orleans? Eating some po' boys?
But yeah, New Orleans is one of my favorite towns. I haven't been back in such a long time, and I really need to do a trip down there.
I was supposed to go in 2019 and then 2020 and then COVID. Like we had a New Orleans trip get canceled. We had so many things just get concerts just get shut down. Just a Vegas trip that I missed out on.
You got LA in. LA was right before the pandemic.
LA actually,
and that was a great trip, wasn't it?
LA actually brings me to one of my 2 spots that are my favorite outside of Philly things at 26 Beach, which it's in, I want to say it's like Santa Monica or it may be Venice, but it's right there. And man, a brunch spot that just does brunch the right way. Complete glass ceilings, but they have these really weird, like colorful umbrellas that they hang upside down. And when the way the light just kind of goes through the translucent umbrellas, it just cascades all over the place. They do a challah bread, banana a challah bread French toast that is just the most decadent thing I've ever had in my life. They do different types of stuffed omelets. They do this like Cajun pasta scrambled egg dish. But just like the vibe and the scene when you go there, watermelon mimosas that for some reason we had no problem paying $17 a piece for. And after 9 of them, now it's like, hey, let's go to the beach. 26 Beach has just been, one of those spots where like, if you ever get a chance to get out to the West Coast, that's definitely like your Sunday fun day, but probably also an early day because you're going to get fucking whacked. Great spot to go to. If you're on the East Coast, and I've told you about this, I've notoriously driven there for lunch once. Sam LaGrasse's up in Boston in the financial district. It's walkable from like Faneuil Hall, which is sort of like their Franklin Mills type of spot. They're open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. They're open 15 hours a day. And it's been standing there for decades.
15 hours a day or 15 hours a week?
15 hours a week. 15 hours a week. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. 3 hours a day. And there's a line to get in. And it like the fact that you could be open for 15 hours a week and still be in business. They have my first time there. I did my opening move where like, I don't know the place. So I told the guy at the counter, I'm like, hey, order me something you would eat for yourself. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to ask me what kind of like rye bread I want. He's like, went out of dock. And he's got the thickest Boston accent. I'm like, I have no fucking idea what you're saying right now. So he's holding up 2 pieces of bread. Hard or dark is what he's fucking trying to fucking say. But he's got that shitty Boston fucking accent. So again, I'm like, both. Give me like 1 and 1. So he makes me this thing that is just like, it's pastrami, it's corned beef, it's
pastrami and corned beef.
It's pastrami and corned beef. It's spicy mustard. He didn't do like the whole like Thousand Island dressing thing. Spicy brown mustard on like this like bread that literally was coming out of the oven and being sliced down.
I'm sorry, something happened under the table there.
Dude,
Obviously.
tell me about it. You get that with like, and I know it's kind of gimmicky, but with a bowl of clam chowder, and like I'm literally like sopping up the residue of the clam chowder with the pastrami and corned beef sandwich, and it was just like the best $35 I've ever spent on a soup and sandwich combo. It's definitely not Panera, but as far as like outside of Philly goes, Sam LaGrasse's is one of the best spots you could go to drivable outside of Philly if you don't mind taking the 12-hour U-turn like I did.
Yeah, I mean, listen, another, there's everybody's got their spots. Everybody's got their go-tos and stuff like that. The other place I'll talk about, I lived in Pittsburgh for a few years. I love Pittsburgh. Shout out to my Pittsburgh crew.
Pittsburghians. I don't know if that's what they're called or not, but
Little Sister Sour. But a place called Fatheads.
Okay.
On Carson Street on the south side. And it's been there for years. And now they have a brewery that's over in Cleveland, and they have a couple different other spots. But they just did these sandwiches that I've never had anything bad there. And I remember the South Side Slopes, which was like pierogi and kielbasa with cheese on this bun with this sauce, and
pierogi
then
on the sandwich.
Yeah,
with the, dude.
And then they had these fried mushrooms, right? And whatever batter that they used for them, I'm pretty sure there's crack in them.
Nice.
Like they give you this big bowl, and it's all these mushrooms, and it just has this like little bit of spice to it. Oh my Lord, I'm getting hungry right now.
Dude, I love when we could talk about a place that's that good to where like you just want to sigh. Like,
yeah, like that's the way I feel. Like when we went out to Pittsburgh that one time, like I was like, that's the spot. That's the spot we have to go to. I mean, there's plenty of other places we could have gone to. But I was like, we got to go to that spot after we drank 3 bottles of Jameson at the bar. Probably not a good idea. But
I think I do remember seeing you in Pittsburgh at one point.
I believe I was there.
We were leaving a Gaslight concert, and then it was me and some other friends, and like we couldn't find you. And I'm like, I think that's Sean over there, and just some like looking like this isn't even a weight joke, but like literally like Silent Bob. Like you're just posted against the wall. Like I'm like, Sean, and you're like, no. I'm like, no, you're Sean. We're going back. We're going back to the hotel. You want to come? I'm there already. I'm like, nah, buddy. Like, why don't you come on? Let's go. And we got you back. So that was, I think that, I don't know if that day started with Fatheads and then went to the concert. I know that wasn't the end for you. I know you went in. We tucked you in and you came back out. All of a sudden, we're like, thank God Sean's in for the night. And we turn around and Sean's coming through like, all right, I got the next round. I'm like, how?
So I'm pretty sure that day started out visiting Little Sister Sour at whatever restaurant she was at the time. And that was when we were being fed Jameson because they were apparently
it wasn't
trying
just
to get rid
Jameson. I remember it was Crown Apple too.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
That's right.
It's the second to last time I ever drank it.
And we definitely had a good time that day. It was a good time. Yeah, we need a road trip. We haven't done a road trip in a while. But we're talking about we're getting back to what we were talking about, like concerts and that kind of stuff. One of the things that again, and maybe this is one of the reasons why I'm not a big concert guy, because I don't go to enough to sit there and be like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, like whatever. Like I'm just there for the, just there with the flow, whatever's going to happen. But something that, it always kind of like grinds my gears a little bit. These guys who think that they know how you're supposed to be at these shows. And if you're not doing that, you're just a loser,
not a real fan.
And it's like, when you get down to like even tailgating, I love a good tailgate, and I can put on a good tailgate and it's cool.
Free games are part of my night.
The guys who think that their tailgate's better than somebody else's tailgate, or you're not listening to the right music before the concert, I hate when people sit there and try and put their negative vibe onto whatever your experience is, because they somehow think that their idea of the experience is better.
Yeah, the experience is what makes it for you.
Exactly.
As far as like, not listening to the right music, I'm telling you, like, the last time, me and our friend Sam went to the Used concert, which is like, kind of like more like a harder emo punk band. You know what all of the hype music was prior to that? It was 90s boy bands.
Oof.
So it was like literally like as the
Big
pit's
fan.
getting ready to fucking start, it's nothing but Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, but fucking 96 Degrees, whatever it's fucking called. And it was literally like 35 minutes, and the entire crowd of people in black jeans with fucking like spikes and fucking colored hair and fucking ripped shirts. You know what they were doing? They were singing along to every fucking word, to every fucking song.
I want it that way.
I want it that way. Yeah. So everyone was down for it. So don't try to have your own little fucking private thing and say, this is the only way you could pregame. Like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah. I like, again, last week I talked about, 86 labels because people sit there and want to put a label on everybody, a label on everything. 86 douchebags that don't sit there and understand that, like, we can all have our own good time, I mean, where it doesn't have to be one certain way. There's always this, everybody's experience is going to be different.
Yeah.
And don't try and push yours onto mine,
Interpretive. It's what you make it. 86, definitely, 86, those type of people, 86, the Karens that ruin it for everyone else. And just, again, try to,
my aunt is next to us and I smell marijuana.
Right. Does she want some?
Who's doing the marijuana?
Does she want some?
right.
Yeah.
It's just like that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, mind you, yeah, there's going to be assholes at any event. Like, you go to a sporting event and somebody starts a fight because something's stupid. I think the worst thing on earth is to start a fight at a sporting event. Number one, you're going to get caught. Okay. There's enough people around that they're going to see it. And what's going to happen? You're going to lose your ticket. You're going to be banned from the stadium or something like that. I mean, I can remember, going back to the vet days, we went to a Phillies home opener.
It was the Terradome, but
this was on the news and made a big thing and actually caused big problems. But I remember it was like 1999, I think, and I was in college and went to the game with Joe Bobby, my old roommate. Shout out to Joe Bobby out in Arizona with Corleone's Philadelphia Steaks, another place you got to hit up. He does Philly steaks for real in Arizona.
Okay. What kind of rolls he got?
I'm not sure what he does now, but I know when he first opened up, they were bringing Sarcones in.
Fucking A. All right, cool. But you got me already.
He's legit Philly. Like, whatever roll he's doing out there.
A lot of people think the meat makes the roll, dude. The roll's got to be fucking right, dude.
Listen, I haven't.
Is definitely it.
I haven't been out there, but like I knowing him, he's doing it legit.
It's not that. It's something
it's
like
legit.
Yeah, good shit.
So anyway, so we go to a Phillies home opener, and it's like probably like, I don't know, 10, 15 of us all rolling out. And I remember at the time I was wearing a Finnegan's Wake pullover, and it was green and white. Okay. Well, where we were sitting up in the 700 level, we were sitting, I guess, close to where there was a section of a bunch of kids from St. Bonners.
Okay.
Or St. Bonners. That's high school, right?
Yeah.
Bonner Prendy. And next to them, there was a section of kids from, I think, like St. Joe Prep, some other high school. I forget, but it was two different high schools. We just so happened to be sitting in a section with the Bonner people. Well, Bonner's colors are green and white.
Okay.
So apparently I stood out, even though I didn't look like I was in college. So I don't think so. I didn't look like I was in high school at the time, but whatever. So I stood out, and there's fights starting and stuff like that. People are throwing stuff. So they cleared a section. Okay, so they come, and we're sitting like literally like 10 rows in front of all these kids behind us.
10 rows is pretty removed, though.
Exactly. But because I was wearing green and white, and I happened to be in a close proximity to them,
and happened to hit a high school kid.
So as I'm arguing with them about getting moved, I'm already pissed off about that.
Yeah, you did.
Then as I'm walking out the tunnel, some little punk from St. Joe's spit on me. One of the worst things you could do to okay, is spit on somebody.
I was kidding when I said you hit the high school kid. Did you?
There might have been. I might have pulled him down from the thing, and there was a bigger fight that started, and we're all in the outside on the ramps and stuff like that. And everybody's fighting, and I'm literally just like breaking stuff up at this point. I realized I messed up by grabbing a kid. I'm literally stopping people and getting in the middle of people, and I'm trying to stop it.
Dylan's going to isolate the part where you say, I know I messed up when I grabbed a kid. So we're just going to have that on loop, but go on.
So who's the only person from the brawl that gets pulled down to the police thing down there?
Maybe the adult?
Apparently.
I love how you're trying to play like you're the victim here.
I was the victim. I was spit on, okay? And
you beat up a child, and you're sitting here bitching about it, right?
I had to talk my way out of it, and I did. But again, like, it was just dumb. Like, I've never, since then, no matter how rowdy I've gotten or how anything going on, I've never even had one inclination to sit there and start a fight or an argument at a sporting event. There's no point in it. There's no point. Nothing good's going to come out of it.
And I'll say this, with concerts, you don't see it as often because I think, well, the type of shows that I usually go to anyway, like there's a pit anyway, right? To where like, people are going there with the expectation of like, I'm going to get thrown around. I'm going to
call Mosh pit and everything's going to be fine.
The inside joke here is on Sean's birthday one day, he showed up to Kung Fu Necktie on an emo night. And Sean, just not being aware of, I guess, how the world works.
It was my birthday.
As he walks in the club, and we're like, hey, Sean, let's get him some drinks. He finds the first person that he sees. The person didn't see Sean. And Sean infamously called Mosh Pit, where he just said, Mosh Pit.
If you call
and just deck the person because he thinks this is the behavior that we do when we go out.
If you call
and
it.
I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, no, it's cool. I called Mosh Pit.
I called it. That's what the kids do.
So we thought Sean for sure was, and I think we were right. You didn't have a long stay at KFN that night.
I didn't. But I didn't hit him with my hand.
Oh,
it was more of like a
palm strike. Was it
something like that?
Okay, yeah.
Know,
well, but we had to 86 Sean from the club that night. And with that, I think we're getting ready to 86 the show. So I had a good time talking about concerts. I had a good time talking about food. And had a good time having another episode with you, buddy. So.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time because my time was spent very it was adequate at best.
I mean,
your time with me, it's underappreciated.
that's
I'm saying you underappreciate your time you get spent with me.
I'm sure that's what you meant by it. In all regards, 86 a show. See you next time, Philly.
YUNKJunk!